Well, hello and welcome to today's edition of Beyond the Ordinary Show. And today's edition, y'all, it's been 29 seasons, almost 10 years, and really it's today's session, today's call, where we are in the present, where have we built up to here? So many of y'all who've been with me almost these 10 years, a lot of y'all who are new but have been doing your own journeying into what else is possible. And what we get to share for one another, but also how we're also walking our individual path of sovereignty and recognizing our unique connection with the divine and what's opening up to that awareness. What are those things that we think are preventing us from it? And are they really keeping us from there? Yes and no. And what is possible as we awaken, as we are living the awakened life. And that's what Deb Getz is going to dive into today. We're going to get into a lot of Q&A also because I know that a lot of the questions that are coming in are also going to lend themselves to how we're guiding each other home into this beautiful expression of not only awareness, but of being it. So it's going to be a phenomenal call. We're going to get into how we can actually tame our ego to get into that awakened life. What does it even mean? Are the perceptions or the things that are clogging the capacity to be in that state? And then so much more. So I hope you guys give yourself the opportunity to sit back, relax, receive. If curiosity gets to you, which I hope it does, that it ignites something in you. And if you're compelled to ask a question of Deb, raise your hand and we're going to get to as many questions as we can today, or type your question in the chat box. A little bit more about Deb. So Deb is a globally recognized medical intuitive. She's a medium, a quantum healer, and an intuitive interior designer. I also have to tell you from personal experience, she's just absolute love. And she's love with authority. She's love with power. She's love with compassion and empathy. And you'll feel all of that in your interaction with her, with the energy who she is. And so Debrah believes that intuitive awareness and soul connection helps us to create the best life by stirring the soul, which encourages creativity and the transformation from one's environment and mental and emotional well-being. And it's that with that I want to welcome you back again. Thank goodness to Beyond the Ordinary.
John, thanks so much for having me again. Those words that you just said about me, that very humbling. And it's just an honor to do this work that I do. So thanks again for having me to share again with your audience.
It's always wonderful having you on here. So we know you a lot as a medical intuitive. You've done a lot of private sessions and you've offered those on the shows, and so many people have received so much from not only going into your sessions, but into the other work, into the transmissions that you provide. And I'm curious if we can start there. What is it from those transmissions? Because again, as a medical intuitive or energetic specialist, I see you going into the cracks, opening what's available, doing these adjustments in the body, in the energetic body, in the mental body as well. But how is it that you're leading people back home to themselves after that work, or even before they even have to engage in that type of work?
Yeah, really good question. Because it's, as we know, it's holistic. And when I do medical intuition and energy work, my goal is always to empower the client, because one of the things that I've noticed in some of my work is that clients expect me to come by with little Deb Getz magic Tinkerbell wand and just heal what's going on within their body. But the goal here, and the guides are always stressing this, is that we are the magic wands. We are the Holy Grail. Not me, not you, all of us. We all have that power within us. So my goal is always to allow the client to see that and feel that within themselves. And many of them don't know the way. And so the other activations, meditations, and courses that I do are to help awaken that within each individual so they can feel it like I do. Because during sessions, I feel into who the client is. I can see their light in their energy bodies, but they don't. And it's so vital that they do, because we're so used to just having our ego self, right? With all of its fears and its self-pity and everything else. But there's that fire that's in here that I want to show them. And that's a big part of my work.
Well, and I think it's the sign of a true leader right now during our times, because there's a certain place where we can, and we talked about this before the show, we can hold people's hands to guide them to that doorway that we know is there. But once we get to the doorway, there really is a calling of sovereignty and allowing someone the opportunity to discover themselves, to discover what else is possible, to know their own empowerment. As scary as it may seem sometimes, as alone as the ego may think that we are in it, and to demonstrate that new sense of awareness, a new sense of connection in ways that we haven't before. So I love that you lead people to the gateways, that you help them to heal up to a certain point. And you provide through your transmissions, your personal work, through these workshops that you do, access to the gateway. But what you also through those transmissions and through the workshops is you provide them of a landscape of what they're navigating. And a lot of times it's presumably, again, from the egoic standpoint, because we seem to be walking alone, but we're not, presumably a solo journey.
Right. Thank you. Yeah. And this is why we are here, to awaken ourselves to that truth, whether you're a leader or you're not a leader, if you're just living a normal life, let's say. We're all meant to feel into that, to awaken to it, because there's that 100th monkey thing going on where we all start awakening, that there'll be a critical mass of us, and that'll help the whole world then become enlightened. And only then are we going to get peace on earth, right? So it's one heart at a time, one class at a time, one healing at a time. And that's why I'm here. That's why you're here.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. I've many times have awaited for those peak experiences, and I've had many of them, which have been amazing. And they have provided a foundation for a shift that occurred, but really it was in the moment by moment experiences that those shifts really had an opportunity to integrate. And really, even the moment by moment experience, I think, would have brought the realization of that pinnacle experience without having the pinnacle experience. So it's so fascinating.
For sure.
It's so fascinating. When you talk about living an awakened life, what does that mean to you? And then how is it that we can calm the nervous system or the anticipation or the fear or whatever it is that the ego is running with, that really causes a lot of start and stop, a lot of the suffering or the pain that we might experience?
Yeah, that's a really good question. That's the question of the day for sure. Because number one, of course, is doing our emotional healing. So many of us carry around traumas. I certainly do. And so working on releasing that, especially like if we're stuck in a PTSD or something, it's vital for us to remedy that first, to bring correction to it through a loving, compassionate therapist or healer. But then it's a matter of coming to that ego that, like I said before, can be have a little self-pity and gets in a complaining mood, or life just gets to be too much for us. All we really need to do is remind ourselves that there is something else in here besides this brain that just wants to continually run in the wrong direction or in the direction that isn't fruitful. So when we come here and realize that there is two of us, if you will, the ego and this sacredness, then we can sit back and maybe just have a conversation with this ego self and say, hey, I know you're going through all this stuff, and sometimes it seems insurmountable, and sometimes you're overwhelmed with life, and sometimes you get crabby, but it's all okay because I'm here and I got this. We got this. We're here with you. You're safe. You're not alone. That's what so many of us forget to remind ourselves of. And this is the basis of this whole conversation today. And my special offer coming up too is because we just forget. But and sometimes we don't know how to find this. How do you access this loving heart, this all-encompassing love that once you feel it, you just melt into everything's okay. Just into that space of, yeah, everything truly is okay. And if you don't feel like it right now, it will be. And then another big piece of this, John, is we forget to become more childlike. We forget that we're innocent. We forget that we're here to experience. And what do we want to experience? How about a little wonder? We wake up every day and say, I wonder what kind of magic is going to happen today. I wonder what positive things are going to be coming into my life today. I wonder what makes the sky blue. You know, all those things that we thought when we were little, when we were younger. If we returned to some of that, our lives would just kind of fall into place like those dominoes. Our life would be more synchronistic. Our life would be more loving. We'd be more content. And then all the chatter can just settle down where it belongs. Not so much in the dominance.
Yeah, I love this. And this is actually the reverse engineering of some of the medical intuitive work that you do as well. Because for me, and I'll share an example, I had years of lower back pain, and get worse and get worse. And I'd get energetic treatments. I'd have medical intuitives come in. I'd go to a chiropractor. I did my stretches and all, and it would relieve and it would come back. It would relieve and it would come back. And it's when I can tell that there is a different awareness of consciousness and how I was in different relationships in my life, either with money, feeling supported, these other energetic, emotional components that would come in. And when that really flipped the switch from the emotional and limiting belief of the energetic burden that I was carrying on my lower back, and the pain of that is what happened, what no energy healer or chiropractor or stretching could do, is that actually aligns. So the work that you're doing in alignment with those adjustments that you do and energetic that you do, it's a beautiful facilitation. And sometimes the other side of the coins, and I say a lot of time, the other side of the coin is also healing and reframing our limiting beliefs and the subconscious beliefs that actually provide the relief for the physical body as well. Well, if I align my chakras and I have the energy flow, then everything will be okay. Well, not if you keep bringing it back to the place where you were before necessarily. It can provide temporary relief, and sometimes you can open up for the limiting belief to pass through. But when we really get to a point of shifting the consciousness of the physicality has a chance to align. Exactly. As a secondary, as a result of that primary thing that was causing the structure to be out of balance. And so it's fascinating what's happening.
Yeah, not only finding the structure that's out of balance, but knowing that it's been holding it there too. And before I address more of that, one of the things that I hear from my clients sometimes is, well, how come I, just like you, John, I got better and then it came back, and I got better and then it came back. Sometimes, first of all, it's no one's fault, but sometimes it's a matter of getting to the layers, because there might be this layer, but then there might have to work again on even more layers. But most of the time, we do find that, like you said, bingo, when you hit that sweet spot, when you hit that nerve, the pain, the trauma, even unknown trauma, ancestral trauma, past life trauma, current life. When we can get down and dirty with that and find it, sometimes the release is like almost instant, and you can't separate the two. Sometimes I think some people think that their body is just something that they drag around. We forget also that our bodies are our consciousness in form, and that central nervous system, the spine, is vital. It holds everything as far as I'm concerned. And when we can uncover some of those things and bring them back to recovery, that's when the magic happens, and relief and correction can come. So thanks for bringing that up.
No, and again, I appreciate the work that you do and how you're doing it and why you offer the different components of it. And for me, y'all, again, I can't even tell you I truly believe, I just know. And an invitation for y'all to get into your knowing. I mean, really, to get into your knowing. That we can be led up to a certain point, then it's up to us to let go of the shoreline and allow the flow of your consciousness and your capacity to be in that flow and to discover what you are capable of, to remember who you are, to access these parts of you who have been dormant. You've just been waiting for that permission to let loose from the safety of the shoreline.
Because it's the unknown, right?
It's the next layer of our evolution. It just is. As a humanity, it is the evolving of our consciousness on an individual and a collective basis that is requiring. It's requiring. It doesn't say you have to, but if you wish to transform, if you wish to shift with the consciousness that really tells you that the end of suffering in the way that you have known it can shift. It's where we're all being called to in one way or another. So yeah, Debrah, if you want to talk more about that or your beliefs or even contrasts around that, please share, because this is really about expanding about the truth that wants to show up.
Right. And I'm glad that what you just said was so poetic and beautiful yet again. But when you're talking about it, I'm thinking, I've heard my clients say, yeah, I can do that. I can meditate. I have my sacred things that I do every day. But what is it that we're really looking for? Yeah, we want the peace. We want the this. We want the healing. We want our lives to be adjusted and corrected. But where is it? The golden egg, where is it? And so sometimes we don't have time in our lives to just be, to do some excavating. I mean, it took years for me to, first of all, know that there was a divinity within me. It went many, many years, just, okay, I know it's there. I went through being, well, I'm not going to get into that. But then it's okay, no, how can I feel it? When we talk about connecting with the higher self, well, first of all, where is it? Well, it's a piece and part of us. I believe it's what caused our hearts to beat when we were in utero. I think it's the spark of the divine that came in, caused our souls to embody this clay. But how do we experience it now? We can hear about all of the things like, well, open your heart and let's live in the holographic universe. And, we've got this and we've got a lot of jargon right now, but what I want to do is to boil it all down. All of this is great. We can be clairvoyant, clairaudient, we can be healers, we can do all of this, but I want to go back to the basics of what is within here. And there's an embracing and embraceable love that sits right here, and it's not anything separate. A lot of us think like, oh, we have to go get the higher self. Well, where is it? It's not high, it's not up. We got to bring that notion down. We can even energetically picture ourselves bringing that higher self that's supposed to be like above our house. I saw years ago a picture of your higher self in a book, and it's like, oh, it's way up there. It's like, well, then I feel separate. So I want to put a big X through that picture and right now bring that higher self down, and I want to embody it and get to know it, to live as and through it, with it having the say so in my life. So is kind of a process, but not really a huge, big to do, because so often we feel it. You know, when we empathize with somebody else, where's that coming from? That is our higher self.
Mm.
You know, when we love, we have that capacity because of our higher self. And when we can be more engaged with this, and how do we do that? We can tame our egos by allowing this piece and part of ourselves to, again, talk to it, much like I did before. Hey, I see what you're going through, but you're not alone. It's all okay. And you love the ego into the submission of this heart that beats in unison with yours. And it's breathtaking.
Mm.
It's life-changing. It's heart-changing. So that's what I want to do today, is allow people to know that they have permission to feel that they're embodying their higher self. There's no secret to finding it or communicating with it and connecting with it. It already is here if we take the time to go there.
We take the time. We take the time, and we're in coherence with the potential of that, with what exists there as we step into the potential as an actualization, knowing that it's only the illusion that it's a potential that keeps us away from it. And I love the way that you bring this in also, because you lead people to the doorway, and you work with energies and beings that lead you to the doorway, and then that expand the potentiality. So I'm not sure if y'all are aware of this, and we haven't really talked about it, but Debrah, when you go into transmission, where you're doing one-on-one work, where you're doing transmission work, leading in workshops, that there are groups of beings that you bring in. I mean, you work with Metatron, Mary Magdalene, Isis, people's higher selves, the energy comes in, and it's quite a potent energy that is really meeting us in the potentiality of the love as expressed through these avatar beings, which is amazing. So I'd love it if you talk a little bit more about that and your connection there, and why in these transmissions, in these workshops, that energy is there to serve to amplify something within us.
Well, you can tell how excited I am about it, because when you're talking about it, I'm like, yes,
Yeah.
yes, I love their presence. And it might be a little confusing for some people, because we're talking about mastery, right? So we are the masters, but so if we're going to be in mastery, how can we lean on these other people? It's not a leaning on. I just wanted to make that very clear up front, because this conversation comes up sometimes in classes that I teach, and we're not leaning, we're joining. We're one with them anyway, right? And so years ago, when I truly wanted to do this work and I hadn't come into the fullness of it yet, I was just calling on the Ascended Masters. I got to know them. Well, somebody introduced me to Saint Germain. Well, who's that? That sounds cool. You know, and I studied Jesus's work for many, many years. And I got to know Archangel Michael, and then the archangels and the seraphim angels. I studied, and I wanted to know who they were. And then it's like, if I could just be like them, if I could just ascend, whatever that means, then that's what I want. And little by little, I just started trusting. And I also, in the beginning, I would always say, yes, this is who I want to work with. And then I bind anybody else's presence to make sure that I was safe, right? Well, now we don't have to do that. I don't have to do that anymore. And so during a transmission or a class or a course, and maybe even today, when we're taking live calls, the frequencies, the personas, if you will, of these beings will just pop in, and it's mostly based upon the familiarity of the client, of the people. What do I mean by that? Sometimes Jesus will come in so strong for a client during a session, and I'll say, I know right then they're really close with them. So I ask, I said, are you really close like with Jesus? And they said, oh my God, he's my guy. You know, and so that's the beauty of this work too, is whomever comes in is assisting in the greatest way to bring also an evidence, if you will, to the client that this is real, but also the frequency of these beings that serve this work so well. And it's so exciting because it's hard to not talk about it once we start, because they're so uplifting, and they're just a beautiful reflection of that love in our heart that I was talking about before. They are us, we are them.
And I love it. And in previous calls this season on BTO and in the membership also, I keep reminding people that anytime we've had collective groups of consciousness from other realms, from other dimensions showing up for us, they're not telling us how to do, what to do, that you need to have the card, that you need to have the job, that you need to have the relationship in order to experience the love. They're really guiding us to a doorway. And then from that doorway, we get to choose how we experience it. Not once it's you need to do this or you need to do that, or I create this energy so I can manifest this, or this. It's really a permission of expression of love in different forms that the invitation is bringing us into. And that's what you do as well. And is in that there's a relaxation in the body. There's a receiving aspect. That's a huge initiation for all of us in many ways. And again, that's the awareness of once have been led to the door, and once we cross the threshold, what is it that we choose to create from there and why?
Right. And that's all part of our free will too. When you were saying before that they will never tell you, you must do this, you must, because that's how you know you're really connected with one of the masters in the higher frequencies, is because they respect our free will. They respect our ability and our opportunities to choose and to make the way for us. And I love that you said too, they open the door and then we decide. We're never going to be pushed through. We're never going to have somebody else come along and whisk you right through it. It's all for us to do. It's an inside job.
Amazing. Well, Deb, I'd love to get into Q&A and start getting with people on the call. And if you're open to it,
I'd love to.
and then expanding on the consciousness room. So I'm going to start promoting some of y'all to panelists. There's some questions coming in the Q&A also, and the chat box that we'll get into. So again, if you want to ask your personal question, raise your hand. And again, I'm going to start promoting you to panelists. And I'm going to start with a personal question, Deb. A personal question. And this is a physical manifestation of something. Recently, I've had this tightness in my hand, and I've never experienced it or remember experiencing it. And the best way that I can describe it, it almost feels like an arthritis. I grip something and it's hard to grip. And it brings pain in. And I'm aware energetically also of like this point in my life that I'm in, that I have a feeling that this is a physical manifestation of the resistance of what wants to come in as well. Perhaps on how I can grip life in a different ways, perhaps of the mastery that I hold in it and not wanting to, I don't know. I'm wondering what you would choose in the carpal tunnel syndrome. Thank you, Ed. Let's see what that brings in. But I'm wondering not only of how I can have a relationship with this, but any awareness that you may bring around it, to teach me to communicate with it in a way that perhaps I'm just not aware yet.
Good, thank you. First of all, I'm just out of curiosity, are you right-handed?
No, I'm left-handed.
So this was your right hand though, right? That you're having
Exactly.
an issue with. Interesting. Has there been anything in your life recently that you've been being asked to give, or something that you wanted to start that you have to give money to, energy to? Because the left hand is receiving, the right hand is giving. Now, I don't usually sit by those rules as a concrete rule, but in this case, they brought that up for you.
I've definitely been funneling more money out than have been coming in, for sure.
That feels like that's at the bottom of it, John. So maybe there's a fear there's too much going out. You're trying to withhold some. Does that
There's
resonate?
definitely being uncomfortable of how much has been flowing out in comparison to what's flowing in. 100%.
That's what it feels like to me.
Mm.
Well, maybe after we can stay on and I can do a little work on it.
That'll be great. I may call you afterwards. That would be phenomenal. But also in the transmissions through the special offer and the other work that you do, it's, well, how is it that these transmissions help us with issues like this, with the workshops that you lead online? And again, part of the special offer, there's live and there's recorded also. I know that there's overcoming trauma. I know that there's really experiencing the new energies that are coming in. As far as the special offer, there's a lot that's there. Meeting my higher self. I'm curious, again, for everybody on the line, how these workshops help to facilitate this relational aspect and the intelligence that's illuminating.
Well, I am just a facilitator of information that comes through with these transmissions and the activations and courses and live classes. And I'm the facilitator of the messages that come through to allow you clients the courage to take a look at what it is that may be holding them back. And then allowing them also the courage to release it. Now, there's a caveat to that too, because many of us think, oh, yeah, let's just release it. Let's just release it. But there is a little piece and part of us inside that is saying, well, who will I be then without that? What's going to take its place? Oh, yeah, I want joy and I want this and that, but what's that really going to look like for me? So yes, we can be really willing to release things, but then it's like, uh-oh, if I really do, who will I be now? How do I act if that's gone? So that's where the course, you're talking about the course, there's a piece and part of the course too, where we meet that higher self to just fall into the arms of love and know that it's all just going to be okay, because it will be. It is. It already is. We've just got it covered up with all of our junk, right? If we could lift all the junk, we would be in that state of bliss and wrapped in the arms of love.
It's funny also because I also feel in the spontaneous release sometimes in the spontaneous release, I think there's also subconscious worry or an awareness that I let it go in such an easy way that I really bury it. And is it going to come up again and loop around again, subconsciously, that I didn't really have the relationship that my body was asking for, what was coming through, that I didn't integrate the intelligence that was there for me. If it just poofs, vanishes. And even the belief, even if it all did go away, but the belief that it still might be there can be a thing that keeps us in the cycle of the repetition of just the fear of it, even if it doesn't come up again. And that in itself can act as something that stifles your energy, because there's not this action taking ability, or there's this place of comfort and safety that we try to cling on to because of the subconsciousness of that. So it's not about bypassing what's there. It's really being in the flow of the energy and the intelligence and how we receive it, whether consciously or not. And then how we have relationship with that through our daily experiences, through ourselves.
You froze up there a little bit, but I think I got what you said. But yeah, and this is why the guides give us such wonderful, powerful self-healing techniques, such as talking to the cells of our body. We were taught that when we were little, right? But it's a really vital part and a very important and effective piece and part of our spiritual journey, to wake up every day and say, oh yeah, well, today, I feel like I got this ache in my body. Let's talk to it. Let's see what it, number one, let's see what it wants. And say we have a sore that hasn't healed all the way. Well, speak to it and say, hey, I see that you're kind of slow in healing here. Tell the cells within the injury to start revitalizing and rejuvenating in a healthy way, to work for us and not against us anymore. See, so there's, see, I'm so excited about this. There are so many ways that we can help ourselves and empower ourselves through our healing.
And so on. And I just have to say, for confirmation, you're so spot on with the hands. It's been huge. It's been huge. How much money I'm sending out every day might freak y'all out a little bit. Some of y'all, maybe not some of y'all, but compared to what's coming in. And so it's the breathing into it, knowing everything's okay, but there's a part of me, still a part of scarcity, part of my environmental conditioning, the way that I grew up, that like, I've got to control it. I've got to, and another part of me that's, we've got this, and more wants to come in and it wants to be created and all this. And if we don't have to be in contrast with that, what's possible? What's possible? So it's amazing. So you're spot on, Deb. Thank you for that.
Glad I could help. Good.
Okay. Let's go to a live caller now. Ed, let's go to you first. Welcome, Ed. Let's get you to unmute, sir.
Oh, hi, good evening. Good evening. How you doing?
Doing great.
Does that work?
What's your question for Deb?
At risk of oversharing, I was HIV positive in 2000, and it's like coloured a big part of my life. Then I got chronic fatigue syndrome and loads of other things. And I had a bit of a rebellion against medication last year. And so I sort of secretly stopped taking it. And although I wasn't taking the medication, it didn't get any worse. So I didn't even tell my HIV doctor. And all my levels were exactly the same as if I'd actually been taking the medication. So I'm not thinking that I sort of like miraculously sort of found a sort of like a solution to it or anything like that. But is it possible for the, sort of like the body to remember the effects of medication even though you're not taking it? Because I mean, I did about 6-7 months without, I just shunned it because I was just fed up with the routine. I did a bit of self-sabotage.
So and Ed, you're saying you're wanting to know basically, does your body have that memory of the medication and is it kind of automatically working for you? Is that the bottom line here?
I'm not claiming to be a miracle in modern medicine or anything like that. It's just, I mean, that's the only thing that I can think of, that it was like a body memory of the effects of the medication. Because there's no other explanation, because my other levels were so low that every time that there was a hiccup, that I would always react very badly against it, and I had a very suppressed immune system. But I seem to somehow have beaten it. But I don't want to tell my doctor that, because I'll probably get a slap on the wrist. So
well,
I'm going
as
to
you know,
be the guinea pig.
As you know, thank you, Ed. And as you know, the body is very wide. And here's a clue for anybody else who is suffering from even an anxiety or a pain in their body. Did you know that you yourself can create the effects of medication within your own body and heal yourself without taking anything, without ingesting any of those chemicals? I've proven this to myself many, many times. So Ed, yeah, this is kind of for you. Your body does have that wisdom to hold steady at a particular point from it. But one night I had a very, very, very busy day. And before I went to bed, I said, gee, I just wish I had whatever, I've never taken an anti-anxiety medication or anything, but I said, I just wish I had something like that to take right now. And I just imagined myself taking it. And, I fell asleep like that. We are that powerful. So instead of taking medication, even an aspirin, even a pain medication, tell your body, let's take an energetic one and do it. And then see what happens. The placebo effect. This is kind of the placebo effect on steroids. And you all can do that.
That's wonderful. Ed, I muted you for a second so we could hear, because there's a lot of background noise. So let's get you to unmute, and then we'll go on to the next caller. And while Ed's unmuting himself, Ed, I'll suggest this to you and to everyone else as well, just to prove Deb's point. And y'all know this, but close your eyes for a second. Just close your eyes for a second. Take a deep breath. And imagine feeling you biting into a lemon that's been cut in half. Imagine that being right.
Can you say that again?
Imagine yourself biting into a lemon that's been cut in half. Just feel the sensation in that. Put yourself there. What's your physical response? A lot of y'all are going to feel the tartness. You're going to feel your jaws clenching. You're going to feel the effects of being in relationship with a lemon. And our bodies are that powerful. That remembrance is that powerful. We know. So to bring in the effect of that knowingness, as Deb is suggesting, is extremely powerful. Ed, before you say anything, and just for you, I would say align with a medical practitioner who can support your belief, but also that can be in a place where you're feeling support in a way that you haven't been supported, that can go through your transformation, whatever that happens to be, but that can take care of your physicality during that transformation as well, that can support your knowing,
Right.
rather than invalidating that you don't have authority over your body. But find someone that can help you in that. You don't have to do this alone. You haven't been abandoned. You haven't been let go because you've been in a bad relationship, or the relationship served you to a certain point and it's transitioning. And that can be a personal relationship. Of course, this is a medical relationship with you. But it's always that or something better, and you're ready for the something better. And so find that support so that you feel like you are in the process of self-love as you're listening, and finding the harmonics of what's available in that, because none of us are meant to do this alone. We're healing collectively. And this is your next phase. Allow yourself to receive.
Thank you. Thank you. May I just for you, I had that carpal tunnel syndrome operation on that wrist. I had it on both. I mean, when I used to do text messages, that one used to spasm and the phone used to shoot across the room. So I spent most of the time backspacing. But I mean, it's a simple 20-minute operation. But ask them to join your money lineup, not your life lineup, because you want more money and less life. If you see what I mean, not the other way around.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You, absolutely. And I got your message about Kauai. I'll respond after about Hawaii. So we'll get there. Thanks, Ed.
Thanks for taking the call. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, y'all. It's going to be more Ed and less me now going forward. More Deb instead of me going forward, because I want Deb you guys to really experience her. So let's go to our next caller. Let's go now to Cindy. Welcome to the call. Oh, Cindy, let's get you to unmute, please. Thanks, love.
Yes, it didn't work. Okay, now it worked. Great. Hi, thank you. So I'm about a year and a half ago, I had an interesting change in my chemistry, what seems like my body odor. And I haven't, I've always used natural deodorants, you know, but it's just very different. It's very alkaline, and it's almost has like, it doesn't lessen. It just seems to be kind of always there. And I didn't know, I've never been tested for COVID, so I don't know if it has anything to do with that. I don't know that I've had it, but I know people are going through upgrades and changes and ascension things. So I'm just working through all ideas. Deborah, you're an idea.
Well, thank you, Cindy. So how long ago did this occur?
It was like a year and a half ago, it seems like.
Because there was a chemical change within your body, definitely. And it feels like it was a hormonal thing. But you know what? It feels like sweetness to me. Whatever change occurred, wasn't it? There was like a sweetness. So what happened a year and a half ago? I mean, did you get into a new relationship? Did you figure out self-love? If so, tell us. But what changed? Because there was a
definitely coming into my empowerment, my worthiness, for sure. Stepping into that, I created a whole new meditation space, and so was definitely moving into that. At first, you know, I thought maybe a little premenopausal, because I'm definitely near that stage too. So empowerment, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it definitely was, like I said, hormonal, and the change of life piece in part is part of it. But it almost feels like there was something else, like you don't know if you had COVID, but it feels like you did. And that could have, in unison with everything else, I think, caused a change. But it's good, right? I mean, it feels like a positive thing to me.
I feel good, but I'm not used to having odor.
All right, let me see. Would you like to, let me tune in and see if there's something more that they can do for you. All right, we're gonna go up to the, to the brain, okay. Pituitary gland, it monitors the whole endocrine system, but also the hypothalamus. We're gonna make just a few adjustments up there because there was like, they're saying an over secretion of something, okay? So we're just clearing things up a little bit, all right? And then a particular part of the brain as well. So we're in the pituitary, hypothalamus, and another part of the brain. Just clearing things up. Okay. Reminding the body that it's safe to release, safe to change. We've got this, you're not alone. There we go. All right, now it's opening up and allowing us to make a few changes here. So this may occur immediately for you, but they're saying watch over the next week for sure for this to lessen and become more of that sweetness that you would prefer.
Yeah.
A little bit of
Like
finish it up.
Thank you, thank you,
There, that feels complete.
thank you.
Okay,
Thank you
Cindy,
so
are you
much.
open-
It's been so weird.
Are you open for me to share? I said I wasn't going to interject, but I just can't help it. I'm like chomping at the bits over here because I know a little bit of your history from the last time that you were on.
Yeah.
You're expressing more of who you are.
Yeah.
You're expressing more, and Deb hit it on target when and in your expression more of who you are, what your secretion is, some of your judgments about who you be and how you show up, and it's releasing, and that sweetness of you is coming through as you relax into the love that you're sharing with others more authentically than you ever have before. So that love that Deb was talking about, that's what you're doing, hon. It's so obvious. It is so obvious. It's like, breathe into that. It's more than enough. It's beautiful. It's not only powerful, it's the emanation of love that it comes from is undeniable. And let that lead the way. Don't judge it. And if you do, judge the judging with the love carry.
Thank you.
Right? Or don't judge the judging, or be with the judging, or whatever, and just let it, it's flowing through you, and it's opening, and it's the sweetness.
Okay.
That right there, the tears, the purging, the flow that you're doing through the smell that you judge.
Oh, my ears are ringing.
Oh my God, so beautiful. Deb, thank you.
Oh my God, thank you very much. Oh, that was a lot. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sweating over here a little bit. Amazing.
Oh my gosh, my whole I'm vibrating like mad.
Wow. Enjoy it. And thank you.
I'm gonna enjoy this. Thank you very much.
Thank you for showing us the sweetness of who you are. Beautiful. All right, Cindy, I'm going to move on to the next caller. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Joshua, let's go to you. Welcome.
Hi, Joshua.
Aloha. Grateful to be here. Debrah, love you so much. Very inspiring what you do.
Thank you.
I was curious. I've been loving on my body for a minute now. Definitely been loving on my neck and my whole spine. I was curious what you could see in my neck as I've been kind of moving out of some neck tension every time I wake up for a while now. Any guidance on what I can do to move forward with because it definitely feels like it's healing. And just curious on your insights. Thank you.
I can feel it. There's a lot of pressure there for sure. So a couple things. First of all, there was some trauma previously, physically, but it's also a coagulation of energy that's kind of stuck back there in the occiput.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think a lot? Do you worry?
I'm moving out of worrying, moving into relaxation with my thoughts.
Good.
Stillness.
That'll be a big part of it. But like I said, it's like things are just jammed up there. And part of it, there's a
Yeah.
bunch of things involved here, because it's also the opening of your portal, your communication portal, but it's
Yep.
also some things of your humanness that are keeping you a little bound there. So we're going to go right to the very core of it. They're showing me going right to the very core of it. It's like where the little generator is that's keeping these things moving. So they're showing me a couple of things, a turntable going around with a record playing. So that to me represents ruminating thoughts, worry, the same things over and over every day that you think about. So what we're going to do is take a deep breath, and we're going to slow down that record player, and we're going to lift the needle and take it off. And now we're going to start playing the record in reverse. We're going to unwind. And this is a beautiful metaphor for not only unwinding your constant, those thoughts that come up every day, but this is also winding the energetics of it. So we're relieving a lot of that right now. This is a kind of a shamanic technique that they do for just lifting and shifting energy up and out. Starting to feel lighter already. They want me to crack your neck. Okay, so I will. But I'm giggling because I can feel the energy lifting, but at the same time, they're so cute. It's like, okay, crack his neck. So I'm going to cradle your skull in the palm of my hands and curve my fingertips and gently lift up. There we go. Gently lift up on the back of the skull. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling all of this is draining. Draining from the head down the spine. Even the temples are loosening up. And I'm just going to create a little bit more traction now by pulling up even more on the base of the skull, rotating that skull. And then I'm going to give it a really good adjustment. There. All right, now I've got the skull sitting perfectly perpendicular on that atlas bone. So Joshua, did you feel energy shifting immediately? Because your energy is totally different from when we started.
Immediate. I actually felt felt like light hands that were made of light cradle my head, and then I felt the lift up, and then I felt a drain down into the earth.
Yeah, good job.
Wow. Oh my God. Thank you.
Job.
I'm really filled with a lot of love right now, and grateful.
Feel it. Yeah, remember, you brought this in today. You did that. I was just a helper. Okay, good job.
Yes, thank you.
Aloha.
Big love. Aloha to everyone. Aloha, John.
Aloha. Thank you for bringing that in. Thank you for what's possible. And also thank you for the awareness of the love that can still exist in the pain and the limitation of everything, because you showed up as love. And the release of it was just to remember, oh, there's love there. There's love before, there's love during, and there's love after. And it's just to remember, it's like, oh yeah, love exists in all of this. And I'm bringing it up. Because how do we get to the doorway? And how do we, we said, lift the needle and slow the record down enough so that we're in harmony with the truth of that? It's like, what facilitation, what transmissions, what energetic environment is available to us to bring us back into the mastery of that remembering? And April, if you would, put the link for the special offer in the chat box, and y'all click on the special offer link. It's going to pop up any second now. There you go. Poof. Instant manifestation, right? Go to beyondtheordinaryshow.com/Deb28 and open up the special offer page, because Deb's offering that and so much more in these attunements, in these transmissions into you, lifting the needle off the player and slowing down the record to remember, to embody, to practice who you be. And then beyond that, whoever you think you might be, think bigger, and you might be getting close. Truly. That's the time that we're in. And Deb, please guide us through the special offer that you put together for us here on the show, because I love the empowerment and the self-awareness that's being engendered here.
Yeah, I'll be happy to share it because it's very, very exciting package that I put together because number one, we're going to go through a workshop, a pre-recorded workshop. It's a class that I did live on overcoming trauma. So what we're going to do in this whole, there's a rhyme and reason to package A. We're going to release the trauma, and it's like an hour-long workshop that I had previously done. And then the second part, or you're sharing your screen? John, are you sharing your screen?
I am now. Yes.
Okay, good. Yeah, so Mary, we had this set up ahead of time, or Mary Magdalene and Mother Mary said that they wanted to come in and be those compassionate mothers to help release our traumas. And we go into the physical, the emotional, the ancestral trauma to help release that from our physical bodies. And then there's, towards the end of it, we actually take us through an exercise of actually lighting every cell within our body so we can soar into those, that self-expression that we hold ourselves back so much, too much, way too much. So this is going to give us that freedom to be, and the words that they say are so true, so right on, so that we can express without influence, that we can make choices without influence. That's huge. Influence from others, from our past, from past lives, from the future, from any of our fears. So this is an excellent, just mind-blowing class. That's pre-recorded. And then the next one, we actually meet our higher selves. I actually started calling it meeting your holiness, because this is where we're going inside. Yes, and we do look for love in all the wrong places. And so this is meeting the higher self, is taking us from looking outwardly, because it's our habit. It's what we do. We actually need to be aware of what's going on around us in our life and judgments and reactions so that we know that we're safe. But this is different. This is going deeper. This is stopping the constant looking for approval and assessment from other people. No, it's all about this. It's all about falling into those arms of love through grace. So there's a process too of when we enter that sacred pyramid, and it's a not just, it's kind of interactive, even though it's a recording. You'll be able to, you're taken through these to the pyramid, to a doorway, like John was talking about earlier. It's very cool.
Amazing.
Then the third one is the Isis Sacred Temple transmission. Wow, this is more powerful than I ever thought it was going to be when it first came through last fall. I was driving up through the Oregon coast going from a birthday trip that I took. And on the way back, going through the Oregon mountains, I said, okay, you guys, what's next? And bam, all of a sudden, Isis comes through with Metatron and Melchizedek and Saint Germain and Jesus. And they showed me this whole process of purifying our environment, our homes. They showed me exactly what it was going to look like. And so when I got home from that trip, I called my friends and said, hey, let's do this. I want to try it, and then I can present it to everyone. So anyway, we've got these 5 ascended masters who run this cyclone up through even the ground beneath our homes, up through every level and to the perimeter of our land to completely clear former bloodshed, war, any arguments, death, anything negative that occurred on the land will be completely cleared. And then Isis puts an ankh over the front. I mean, I'm not going to give away everything, but it's so powerful. And then, John, they say that they're going to remain encamped after they do this whole, 20-minute thing. They said they're going to remain encamped around the perimeter of your property. And I thought, well, that's kind of cool. But then after I did it live in a class last fall, a woman, a couple weeks after we did it, maybe a week or 10 days, sent me a picture that she took on the perimeter of her land of a light being on her property, looking at her house, almost like it was standing at attention. And it was just glowing, this pure white light. So it's proof that this was, I mean, of course I didn't doubt that it was happening, but it was so cool to get proof.
Wow.
This is very real.
This
that's
actually
fascinating.
speaks to me in the process. I want to invite everyone to, when you finish your meditations off a call that you feel energetically charged from a place where you're creating sacred space. This is a reminder that that transmission doesn't end when you think you're finished. It goes along with you. And for you to encamp in that is actually an engendering and assimilation to an energy that you have access to, that you become more potentized in. The more you practice it, the more you're in relationship, the more that intimacy is allowed to expand. So I love that this comes up in this step. This is amazing.
It's very amazing, so powerful. All right,
So
so
this
that's
package, yeah, this package is package A, y'all. This is $97 with a 2-payment option. It's a 50% discount, more or less, of what it's typically offered for. Take advantage of this. Now, if you want this package and everything in package B, the 6-week live virtual journey, Deb, this is exciting. Tell us more about this.
It's very exciting. I didn't know I was going to do this till about a month ago when the guide said, okay, let's do another course. Well, this one is live. It's not pre-recorded. It's live Thursday evening, starting at the end of this month. So anybody who can't make it is going to be recorded. So it's a virtual, they call it a virtual journey from our lives' deepest struggles into radical transformation. So the things that we've been talking, John and I have been talking about here today, it's that and so much more in this course. We're ready to lead with our heart and really live an anointed life. Now, what do I mean by an anointed life? It's something radically different from what we've been used to. It's, again, getting to know that sacred piece and part of us. Like John just highlighted, we're going back to the basics, because once we get those basics down, everything else is going to happen. Everything else, you're going to get the clears. You're going to speak light language. You're going to, everything that you've been wanting, your financial abundance, your health, is going to come pouring in. But this has got to be activated here first. We've got to get to know who it is that we're talking about here.
Deb, I want to share this because we were having this conversation before the call.
Yeah.
And my awareness of this, a lot of us have been going up and out, bringing in codes, releasing past lifetimes, releasing trauma from this time, recalibrating limiting beliefs. And all that we've been, again, engendering is the word of the day. Innocence. Been engendering a new level of innocence, a new level of intelligence, a new way of being with our body. And from that, this is so important, because this takes me to the place of, once you've mastered, then what comes? What comes after mastery? Well, guess what? A surrender into the unknown and the surrender into the innocence. Knowing that once you've mastered something, that you really don't know anything except what's coming next. That's ready to show you what comes next. So getting back to the basics and to the root of it is really the next level of our mastery, as far as I'm concerned, Deb.
Absolutely. And it's that unknown that actually somewhere deep within our hearts, we do know it. We do know that we can be swept off our feet with that beautiful mystical presence. It's familiar, even though we might not think so. All right. So week one is where we create that foundation, where we go deep. We fall into those arms of love that I've been talking about earlier, where we release the fear of the unknown and be courageous enough together. We're going to do this together and learn what it's like to live that life, fully awakened and alive and innocent. So week 2, we're going to identify those things. So many clients ask me, well, what's blocking me? The guides don't really like the word block. In fact, we don't like to use it at all, because that labels us and says, oh, there's something wrong. No, there's nothing wrong with us. We just have some rubble sitting on top of the truth. We just have some garbage that's sitting on top of the light. And so what we're going to do is identify what those are, lift them up, and then live that awakened life together. Okay, then we're going to create that shift that we just talked about. So, and we're going to diffuse that wrongful thinking by reprogramming and embedding these new pathways into the brain function. So that's basically part of it, was what we just did by stopping the record from playing and lifting the needle and turning it backwards. That's one of the tools that's included in this, but there's a whole lot more.
Beautiful.
So this is big. Week 4 is going to be must attend for anyone wanting to learn some more of these self-healing techniques. We talked about a few today with imagining a medication going in your body without the chemicals. We talked about, can't remember some of the other things that we did. This is that there's probably 10, 12, 15 self-healing techniques that we're going to learn that week so that you're empowered to do this work that I'm here today doing. Liberation into the full soul expression. So like I said before, we have been holding back. How often do you find yourself in a group of people, maybe at a party or even with your family, where you have an opinion and you don't express it? Well, the first 4 modules are going to help us work through that, the why. And this one is going to really pull us into that liberating ourselves, to have that big, to be able to choose without influence, what they were talking about before. There's nothing more liberating than that, to make choices for our life without being influenced by anything but our own soul. That's week 5.
Beautiful. I love the name of this one.
Magnetic awakened manifesting. Yeah, so on this one, we've come through the 5 weeks of clearing and going deep inside, and now we're going to learn the truth about how to truly manifest as these awakened beings. Yeah, and the law of attraction that we all learned, what, 15, 20 years ago, whenever, there's some pieces and parts that were missing, and there was nothing wrong with the teachers at the time, but we've evolved so much further than that. Now we're going to talk about refinement and allowing and desire and our intellect, and mixing all of that together with discernment of what is ours to come to manifest to ourselves, and how to do it, which is much, much easier than you think.
I love this. And draw it to yourself, which is already here for you. So again, in this Deb, as a recap, there's 9 hours of live instruction, y'all, with Deb and the Ascended Masters. There's live Q&A where Deb's going to take your personal questions. There's an Awakened Life full color workbook. What is this?
That is a workbook that they said to create that will go along. So each week there's this little workbook that's going to go with it, so you can take notes and doodle whatever you want. But it's a workbook that's going to just go along. So like I said, each week you'll get, right before the class, you'll get your little workbook to move along the course with us. So it's not going to be a full transmission of each of the courses, but it's going to be a nice thing to have for the future. And then, yes, it's going to be recorded and downloadable. So anybody who wants to watch it again, listen again, or miss the class, they'll be able to download and keep forever.
Amazing. So y'all, again, package B includes both offers, package A and B. It's $197. There's a 2 payment option on it as well. And again, it's a live component, a live course. And again, to learn how to be in the slowness and also the speed of that symphony of you. Because you are accelerating, but to learn how to slow it down and to discover yourself and be in intimacy with you as well. It's just, this is amazing. And led through Deb and the way she tunes in and how she shares and the integrity of her transmission, the purity of it, it's second to none. So again, I highly recommend anything Deb is offering, but I feel this is truly powerful and something that I feel very strongly can be hugely transformational, if that's what you're looking for to have a relationship with. So click on the special offer link. It's in the chat box on the Zoom call, or open up a new browser and go to beyondtheordinaryshow.com/Deb29. Is it 29? It is. I'm forgetting numbers now. And take advantage of it. Take advantage of the special offer. Deb, thank you so much for offering this.
Yeah, thank you. It's very exciting for me to be able to do it.
And y'all, let's open up some more Q&A. Let's find out. Let's discover what else is flowing through for us. So as we go here, let's see who's been. So many of y'all are calling me, seriously, and I'm so tuning in. But it's just this, Peg, you have been on my energy in a beautiful way since you've turned on your video. So let's get you to unmute, please.
If I can do this. This is so funny because while you're talking, my pressure cooker decided it was time for me to address what I was cooking. So I hope you all enjoy the energy in my potato salad. Thank you very much.
Hi, Peg.
Well, thank you. And John, this is so funny that you called on me because I almost contacted you personally to see if you knew of a really good medical intuitive because I've had a question. So, yeah.
Yes, the answer is yes.
Look how you manifested that, Peg. Good job.
Aren't we great?
So what's your question?
My question is this. About 6 weeks ago, I had an incident and it involved my neck and the spine, which is already there's already existing conditions there, but this was new and I have been working on it. I thought I got the message at that time, but I'd like to have you take a look at it to see what's going on with the brain and the spinal cord in that part in the back of my head.
So when you're talking, the vibration of it is, you see how I'm holding my head kind of to the side. This is how I'm feeling your head sitting on your spine, off to the side. So we want to straighten that out and give you some relief there. So are you in constant pain? Because it feels like whatever that position is, you could very well be in constant pain.
Yeah, I am. Okay, I had to. I just want to make sure I get it right.
Okay. So they're saying no matter the cause, we don't have to go into the depth of all of it. They're saying no matter the cause, we're going to give you relief here today. And they are reminding you, the word innocence has come up an awful lot here today. And they're reminding you of yours. I've got chills, everyone's bringing me to tears. Peg, the message for you today is you have done nothing wrong. There's been something that you're beating yourself up for. I have chills everywhere. You've done nothing wrong. You had no part in that outcome, whatever that was. It's really important for you to know that, to let yourself off the hook. Nobody, your higher self did not hang a hook there and put you on it. You did that. And I'm sorry if this seems a little harsh, but sometimes they talk very, very strongly.
I need
to
that.
get through to you. I'm sorry.
I need that. Thank you. I need you to be very direct.
That's your guidance system telling you all that stuff. So if you needed it direct, I'm glad it came through that way for you, because when you can let go of that, take yourself off the hook and know your innocence, that you're pure, that you did nothing wrong to cause anything. You're here as a being of light, you're a multidimensional being, having a human experience in a plastic clay body. That's it, period. So you did make agreements to carry something for someone else. So this part of this going on is a decision that you made to carry, and it feels like you're weighted down. It's like I can hardly sit up straight when I tune into your body because I'm so cricked over from the weight. So now that you got that message, now we can help you by doing some energetic work, by doing some of that lifting. So you've got not just a backpack, a knapsack, and bags of rocks on your shoulders. Gotta let go of that responsibility.
I have to interrupt. You keep going in and out. Is it at my end or are other people hearing that too?
It's on your end.
Okay, sorry about that.
You'll hear it in the replay, that's okay, but this is good stuff for you. So yeah, you've got so much weight on your shoulders that you've been carrying for other people and yourself with that guilt. So now that you got the message and you can start working on that, we're going to help you energetically by removing and lifting. We're helping you take the backpacks off your shoulders. They're not meant for you to carry. Okay? They want you living in freedom, the freedom of self-expression and the freedom of making your choices in this life without that influence that we've been talking about. So you deserve this. You're ready for it. You brought this here today. And so as we're speaking, some of those things are just lifting automatically, because in the recognition, some of the things will just shed off and lift on their own. So we're just helping breaking up the energy here. Okay, so we're going to, like before, what we did with Joshua is we're going to cradle your skull in the palm of my hands, curve the fingertips and gently pull up to create some breathing space between the discs and vertebrae and your large muscles and tiny muscles. So we can get this all to release so that we can put your skull back on properly. All right, we're going to have to do a whole skeletal realignment. So really quick, because everything's connected. So if this is off, everything's off. So and this is going to be the fastest one I've ever done. We're going to rotate those shoulders back and forth and the hips, kind of oscillating them, getting everything to loosen up. Going to remove, go underneath your shoulder blades and release all the stresses of the body in conjunction with taking off the loads off your shoulders, pulling down all the stress off the back. There we go. And then real quick, we're going to do an adjustment of the entire spine. Oh, the hips are off, your sacrum's off. Then I need to do a whole thing some other time. All right, then we're going to gently pull on the femur bones on those legs and gently pull on the arms there. So now you're adjusted quite a bit better. And I've still got your skull in traction. Rotating it, loosening up some of those muscles. There's a little tiny fracture in the base of your skull. Wow. So whatever trauma you had caused a tiny, tiny hairline fracture. I don't know if you knew that.
No.
Tiny. And it feels, old. So Saint Germain is coming in with like a little putty that he usually uses, and he's going to put it anterior and posterior on that portion of the base of the skull. And let's get that all sealed up and then energetically lift the trauma. There we go, because that's been buried there a long time. So now you're going to have more fluidity of motion. All right, and I'm going to put the skull back on, but first I'm going to adjust it really well. Let go of your worrying. You worry too much. There we go. Wow. Okay, you might be a little lightheaded, so because I am. So make sure that you ground yourself, drink a ton of water today, take a hot Epsom salt bath, and we're going to close you up by doing an infinity sign from head to toe, front and back. So this feels pretty complete. How do you feel, Peg?
I felt the motions. Thank you very much. I can tell it's not done, but I can also tell things have shifted greatly.
And then you can finish it up too by speaking to the body, speak to the spine, wherever you're feeling that it's not complete, make it complete.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. I can do that.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hun, for calling in. And again, the invitation is you completing it, you picking up the needle from the record and slowing it down and getting back into balance with you. So you just slow down and to access in communion with that higher vibrational state that Debrah brings in, that the Ascended Masters bring in, that the angels bring in, that everything that Debrah is bringing through her love is a manifestation of being in coherence with those energies. You are in coherence with those energies. It's just a question of slowing down and remembering, and then choosing it. You're being led to the door. What happens when you get to the door? Choose what it is that you seek. Know that you're empowered to have the results of that choice be manifest in your life. You just are. And this is the point of transition that we're all in right now. We're awakening to remember that we too are in alignment with that we can be guided to that door if we can't see it through the haze of the fog, but that it is there. And once you're there, once you can even sense that it's there, even without seeing it, that is your gateway.
And I have something to add to that doorway, because you brought up the door quite a bit. Sometimes we think that we have to take that knob and turn it and push or pull it towards us and open it and then walk through. We got to pull on it and get it open and get it open. We don't. They're saying that it's just kind of loose on its hinges, and all we have to do is go, and that door opens. It's that easy and that magical.
Well, and I have to say there's an opposite effect also in that doorway from my perspective.
Yeah.
Is that we get to that doorway and we can feeling it pull us in, and we resist. We resist the flow of that energy in. It's like, oh no, it's that what am I leaving behind? What knownness, what safety, what security, but it's so comfortable here, even though it's uncomfortable.
That's right.
And there's that suction that we can't help. It's guiding all of us. It's what compels us to be on these calls. This was, I know there's something else, but I don't know quite what it is, but it's pulling me towards it.
It's just home too. It really is just going home. Nothing
Yeah.
nothing to fear.
So beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much. This is
Thanks,
so
Paul.
good. All right, let's go to another caller. Deb mentioned the replay. The replay will be out a little bit later this evening. You can always access replays by going to beyondtheordinaryshow.com/replay. The special offer will be sent out in that replay email as well, in case you need the link. And April, for convenience sake, we type in the link for the special offer in the chat box again, so that we don't have to scroll all the way up and down through all the amazing messages that we're getting, even though they feel fantastic. But just for the ease sake, because I want you guys to have the ease of finding it so that you can participate in this and not have it be like an afterthought, like you got the text message, but it was so long ago that you forgot because you moved on to the next thing. It's like, no, let's be present with what's showing up, and this invitation to be in the experience with Deb and other people just like you. So again, the link's in the chat box for the special offer. 2 special offers, $97 for package A or $197 for both packages, for both the pre-recorded and the live sessions. And so much communion, remembering and embodying joy, excitement. What else is possible? Phenomenal. I'll take advantage of it. All right, let me go to our next live caller, Barbara. Welcome with the rainbow. It's good to see you.
Oh, cool. At the beginning of the call, I had a question, and then partway through the call, the question changed to something I felt was more important to ask. And then now it's changed again, because like I'm reading all of the chat, and it's like everybody seems to have these physical issues. And I'm thinking, you know, most of us here, I recognize a lot of people, and, you know, they're pretty far along on their spiritual journey. And I'm thinking, shouldn't we have all this physical stuff in order by now? You know, we've got the aches and pains, and we feel our stuff and we feel other people's stuff. And like, what is all this about, this physical stuff that we have ailments and illnesses and aches and pains?
Great question, Barb.
Well, our body is our consciousness in form. And I think as long as we're living in our body, as long as we're multidimensional beings trying to have a human experience, we're going to have stuff that is unpleasant. It's going to show up in our body. But isn't this what this work is all about? Because I believe that we're going to get to that point where the physical isn't so important. The physical isn't filled with pain and compression in our spine and headaches and diseases. That's where we want to get to, and that's where we're going, and that's why we're hopping on this train all together. And when all of us catch up, you know, we're all at different levels. We truly are all at different levels, and some of us are to that point where we don't have any more physical pain. There truly are some of us around like that. But until we get there, that's why we're doing this. But I'm not sure if I answered your whole question, Barbara, did I?
Yeah, I think you did. It kind of calms me down. I think maybe I'm impatient, that I want all of us to be at that level already, because
Well, and
of,
that's why these
all of the work we've done.
Yeah, I agree. But that's why they put the whole module of self-healing tools. There's 90 minutes of self-healing tools that you're going to be learning. That so you got a pain that comes up. I had to do this last week. Sometimes I suffer from something going on in my gut, and it's painful. I'm not going to name it because I don't like to name things that I experience. So I don't want to own them. So I had to go up on my bed, lay down, and talk to my body and say, okay, I feel you. I know whatever caused this, that really hurt. That wasn't pleasant, but you got to start working with me now. Let's start producing some really, you know, everything that I said before. I have to still do that. But this is why we're teaching everybody to do the same thing, so that, boom, it can be gone in an hour. It can be gone overnight. This is where hopefully we'll, you know, this will catch on like wildfire and we'll all get there.
Right. Yeah, I did sign up for the package B, so
Yay. Barbara, it'd be
I'm
great to
looking
see you.
forward to learning new things, more new things again. So thank you. Thanks, John. Thanks, Deborah.
And I know Barbara well also, and Barbara, we've talked about this through the light membership and all that. It's where we have expectations. We're releasing the expectations. We're releasing the energies that we have intimacy with, that they have to show up in specific ways in order for us to feel safe, to be received, to feel expanded, to feel abundance. And there's an intelligence of relationships that's showing us, for us, that are really showing us how to break free of the prison that we've created of the my body has to be this in order for me to feel good. Well, if my body's doing this and I have to fight against it, if my body's doing this, there must be something wrong with me. And it's the process of evolution of consciousness that's coming up. So this thing that's happening in my hand, this abundance, this overflow and underflow of money, is an old wound that I've buried for a long time, and it's coming into consciousness, and I'm aware of it mentally. I've been aware of it for a long time, but I've had the capacity to kind of put it to the side, not because everything was quite okay. But now my body's saying, guess what? You're ready for the love of this. You're ready for the intelligence of this to come through. I'm speaking to you in a way that perhaps you'll listen this way. Because do you want to continue the suffering of that, of what you've buried subconsciously, and that the creations of your reality? Or can the suffering of this that I'm showing you right now truly be the transformation, the catalyst for the transformation that you've been ready for a long time, but it just, for some reason, wasn't quite the right time for you consciously?
Right. So it's just showing us when we have all these symptoms that we're ready to release it.
We're ready for the transformation. And what that transformation is, don't have an expectation of what it may be. There was a session for my partner she had with that came in for her sister who had suffered, who had gone through, her transition was a relationship with cancer, is the best way that I can put it right now. And a medium came in and was channeling her sister, and her sister from the other side said that cancer was the greatest gift that she ever had.
John, I'm glad that you brought that up, because when you both were talking there, I wanted to add a caveat here to the physicality of what we're experiencing here, because
Yeah.
there are so many intricacies of our soul and our soul's journey that, and I'm glad you brought up the word expectation, because we as humans, we think, oh, being sick is bad. I shouldn't be sick. If I were just holy enough, if I were just spiritual enough, I wouldn't be sick anymore. That's old stuff. That's really old, like holy war old stuff. That's not the way we think anymore. We have to allow the body and the soul its journey. And if we have that cancer, and if we do happen to cross over to the other side as a result, look at what that woman said. It was the best gift. And we don't know how what we're experiencing might be touching another person. It might be teaching them all about love. We don't know. So we have to lessen our expectations and kind of take a back seat and not ignore and not just allow everything, but do what we can with hope, with prayer, with love, self-love, and then just move through life and become more childlike and be full of wonder. So I think more things release in a state of wonder than anything else.
Ah, beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Barbara, thank you. And I'm guided to add to that. Again, we speak of holding everything in reverence, holding others as reverence, as the divine being as they are, as a mirror reflection of us. And that's not limited to our body's intelligence, seeing all aspects of our body and its consciousness as reverent, as divine. It's when we get into the judgment, I'm sweating or I'm releasing and it smells a particular way. It's when we judge it as something wrong, as something, that's just so vile or whatever it may be. And rather
to change it.
Rather being in in awe of the intelligence that's running through you, whether it's shadow or light, and your interpretation of it. What can shift in that? And if you can hold that within yourself, what can you hold in that in another? If you can hold that in another, can you really harm another? If you can't harm another, what does that say for the state of the world, of what's possible? If you can do that, someone can do that and so much more. You think the world might change, but it doesn't change because we want the world to change. The world changes because we have changed. And we're illuminating that possibility in others. Debrah illuminates that possibility in others. And she takes you from possibility into actualization. Not from possibility into your mind of what's possible and maybe, but no, here is where you're actualizing from your potential that's never been separate from you, but you just couldn't see it as clearly. And she walks us back to that place, to that doorway of home. So beautiful. Y'all, the special offer with Deb, the link's in the chat box. The replay, you know where to find it now. We'll send out an email. Deb, Michelle is writing in. Michelle, will you email me at john@beyondtheordinaryshow.com and send me your request? Let me see if we can work something out there, because we didn't get a chance to get to your call and your concern. But I want to offer you something. And Deb, any parting thoughts as we transition from our call today?
Yeah, I would just take everything that we said today and just tie it in a really pretty pink bow of compassion, because love heals. You know, and it's more, and this is why it's so vital to be in touch with our love selves, because it heals everything. It's going to bring peace on earth eventually. It's going to bring everything that we've wanted. When we can anchor that vibration of love within ourselves and then on the planet, that's the golden egg. That's the prize. And that's where we're headed. And I'm honored to be on this trip, on this big journey with all of you. We're family. So thanks for being on the journey with me.
Such an honor, Deb. I'm going to reach out to you about this thing.
Okay.
About this thing. After we hang up, I'm going to reach out. And y'all, this thing, this that I'm reflecting, mirroring back to you, I'm going to ask to receive your love just out of the pure intention of love, of nothing else. Nothing from over giving, but from your flowing cup. And I'm going to give from my flowing cup as well. Overflowing, because truly that's the state that we live in. And I'm only sharing this because I want you to practice, as I am, the gift of being able to receive. The gift of being able to receive. And from that, we heal each other. We show each other again the doorway home. And so thank you. I love you guys. I look forward to seeing you on the next call. Bye, y'all.